Good afternoon, welcome to VANIK-IAS. We'll discuss current affair of July 15 and first we'll discuss objective questions. Consider the following statements regarding One Health. It is an approach to design and implement programs, policies, legislation, research in which multiple sectors communicate and work together to achieve better public health outcomes. This is right. It can reduce potential threats at human-animal environment interface to control disease that spread between animal and humans. It is also right. It doesn't ensure food safety. This is wrong. It's a negative sentence, right? One health is a positive sentence. What do you mean by basically one health? One health means our environment, our human being, and the animals around it all are interlinked, right? Animals and animal health, right? Animal health, environment health, and human health. These are interlinked. So if any of the two factors, or we cannot only take care of our human health and will remain healthy. We have to take the environmental health and we have to take care of the animal health around us because they all affect us. Even they all affect us significantly or to a many extent. If your environment is not good, then obviously you will suffer from many diseases, right? And also now there is a problem of zoonotic diseases, right? Zoonotic diseases means those diseases which are coming from animals, getting transmitted from animals to human being. Why they are getting transmitted from animals to human being? because because of environmental degradation and various deforestation, or there is man animal conflict is happening, right? Because man animal conflict is happening. That's why human animal environment interface, human animal conflict happens, or that's why such type of diseases are coming to animals, that human being, that is called as zoonotic diseases. So one health, this concept is one health. So you have to take care of environment, your animal, and yourself to have a good health. So only one and two options are right. It's a multidimensional concept. There is no it's a like a flux, it's like multidimensional concept. There is no negative things like it doesn't ensure food security, because food security is sustainable food production, right? Sustainable food production, food security is associated with for sustainable food production and ensuring human health, because if food safety is not ensured, then human health will not be. We cannot talk about health without talking about nutrition. So if there is no food safety, then there will be no human, we are not taking care of human health. So that statement is wrong. Then gene editing. What do you mean by gene editing? Gene editing, these technologies allow genetic material to be added, removed, or altered at particular locations in the genome. Yes, at particular locations of the genome, it is allow genetic material, that is called as CRISPR technology. Yes, CRISPR technology to be added. It can add some genes, it can remove some genes, it can alter some genes in a location, particular genome. CRISPR technology, it can be used to edit genes. Yes, this two technology, it's a protein that caught the genes. It is called a molecular seizure, right? See, our human genome, every of the characteristics is that is mentioned in our human genomes just by observing the human genome or genome sequencing. That is what is called as genome sequencing, right? It is the next generation treatment, we can say, diagnosis procedure. That means to understand your biological structure, your physiology, because every human being has different bodies, and they have grown up in different environment, they have different food habits, they have different genetic construction. So because of these multiple factors, as human being, everybody is very complex and is different. That's why we need to understand the total human body by genome sequencing, right? And this genome sequencing, that is, so for example, that is ATCG GATC adenine guanine, right? Such type of they are mentioned in a particular sequence. And if, for example, this GTC, if such type of combination ever happens, then this may cause cancer, for example. It may happen, right? A particular combination or this may cause cancer. So we have to delete these three, for example. Then we'll allow the gene editing, or we'll delete these three to show that this genome sequencing, this will help us, or gene editing will help us in preventive healthcare, right? In preventive healthcare or precautionary healthcare on your original healthcare system. Because if you know that you are susceptible to diabetes, for example, because of your genetic structure by genome sequencing, then what you will do? You will take care of it. You will either you will edit your genes, or uh, or you will will remain careful. That is preventive healthcare, so that you will not suffer from those diseases. So this is, both statements are right with respect to it. Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana, it is the insurance scheme for farmers, right? Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana. It ensures farmers against all preventive natural risks from pre-sowing to post-sowing harvest, right? Pre-sowing to post-sowing harvest, even after harvest also, because there is unseasonal rains, and because of during harvest period, if also there is loss of your crops, then also government this scheme, this insurance scheme, that is Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana, it will provide 100% assistance to a particular farmer. Farmer have to pay minimum 2% of total premium in case of kharif crops. Remember, total premium in case of kharif crops. That means if you are paying 2 rupees, then if there is any loss happens, then you will get 100 rupees, right? And 1.5% for rabi crops and oil seeds, as well as 5% for commercial or horticultural crops. For example, vegetable crops. For example, vegetables, as the chances of loss is more in case of vegetables, wastage is more, so that's why it's for 5% for commercial or horticultural crops, 2% for kharif crops, and 1.5% for rabi food crops and oil seeds. Andhra Pradesh has decided to join Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana. Yes, all the statements are correct, right? All the statements are correct. Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana. Consider the following statements about alternate dispute resolution mechanism. Alternate dispute, that is called as, yes, why ADR is necessary. ADR, alternate dispute mechanism, means why it is necessary, because there is huge pendency of cases in the court, right? Courts are overburdened, right? So Justice Bhagavati, he has, suppose for example, he has started one type of, that is called as PIL system, right? PIL system, or Lok Adalat system. So such type of systems, they ensure speedy delivery of justices in certain, if they are not compoundable offences, right? If they are not compoundable or very serious offences, they can be taken care of by alternative dispute mechanism, right? It's so uh, these so these are very effective method of resolving disputes. ADR refers to methods of resolving disputes which are alternative to litigation in courts. For example, there is conflict regarding checks, or there is conflict regarding property dispute. Right, alternate dispute resolution mechanisms. This can be helpful. Right, they provide early and speedier justice. It offers resolve all types of matter related to civil disputes. It talks about civil disputes, not criminal disputes, as explicitly provided by the law. Okay. Only Legal Service Authority Act 1987 deal with this mechanism. Now, there is also another act, that is the New Arbitration and Conciliation Act. Legal Service Act, see, whenever you see only, then chances are that is wrong. It is also wrong. There are two acts. One is Legal Services Act, that is 1987, and another is Arbitration and Conciliation Act 1996. Arbitration and Conciliation Act, Admission Translation Act 1996. This also deals with alternate dispute resolution mechanism. There are various types of dispute mechanism. For example, one is arbitration, right, or conciliation. Conciliation by this is not especially done by impartial third party. That is non-binding procedure, right? Formal form of arbitration is conciliation. Then mediation, a mediator, right? Mediation, impartial person. He helps to dispute your mutually acceptable resolution or term. That is mediation. Then another is negotiation. It is also non-binding negotiation. It is the most common method. So by discussion, it can be solved. So these are alternative dispute resolution mechanism. Okay. Consider the following statements about natural farming. The farming was introduced by Masanobu Fukuoka. Yes, a Japanese farmer and philosopher. Yes, he is the father of natural farming. Masanobu Fukuoka, Japanese farmer and philosopher. It is a production system which avoids largely excludes the use of synthetically compound fertilizers, pesticides, growth of regulators, genetically modified organisms, or livestock food additives. Yes, this is natural farming. Like natural farmers, it is natural farming, especially this is um, environmentally sustainable farming. So, in case of environmental sustainable farming, they are not hugely dependent on chemical fertilizers. Especially chemical fertilizers are avoided in case of natural farming, and they are dependent on the uh, mm, for example cow dung, such type of that is our natural cow dung, that is the natural fertilizer, we can say, um, compost, all these things for cultivation. That is that will enhance the effectiveness of earthworms, such type of earthworms, that is especially that is chemically free. And farming is livestock based, right? Livestock based and farming, so that also it talks about natural farming that ensures environmental health or reduce the effect of greenhouse gas emission. That is our primary objective in modern day. Okay, so we have also government is promoting by a scheme, that is Paramparagat Krishi Vikas Yojana, that is natural farming is promoted. That scheme is Parampara Parampara Paramparagat Krishi Vikas Yojana. Krishi Vikas Yojana, right? Paramparagat Krishi Vikas Yojana. This is a scheme of government of India to promote natural farming. It is also related to organic. It is organic farming. Natural farming is organic farming, right? Maybe the production will be less, but that will be very, because that will reduce biomagnification. Biomagnification means the concentration of chemicals increases inside our body. Okay. Then light from distant object compressed by the expansion of our universe, which drives the radiation from visible to infrared region. James Webb's telescope drives the radiation from visible to infrared region. No, it is not happening. It's wrong. James Webb Telescope is biggest and fast infrared. No, it's before it there is Hubble Space Telescope, right? Hubble Space Telescope. So it is not the fast infrared telescope. So it is wrong. So neither one and two are correct. Heat waves. One of the problem, there is heat waves happen due to large scale atmospheric circulation related to Rossby waves. Large scale atmospheric circulation related to Rossby waves. And if Arctic ice is present, the vortex of wind circulation will be concentrated around the Arctic. If Arctic ice is absent, then vortex will be oblique and come down south to the mid latitudes. So, which of the statements are correct regarding heat waves? So, all the statements are correct. So, 1, 2, 3 are right options. Then, global gender gap index. Right. Global gender gap index primarily it is the global gender gap index is an economic participation and opportunity, educational attainment, and health and survival and political empowerment of this of women, for example. Right, this ensures the global gender gap, that is the gap between the men and women with respect to it may be health, may be educational attainment, or it may be regarding the political empowerment. For example, we have hardly 15% of women MPs in our parliament. Right? So, far health is concerned, around 60% women are suffering from anemia. So, far as educational attainment is concerned, there is a gap of around 10% regarding literacy, and that the gap is very high in case of certain communities like Muslim communities or tribal communities. Right? There is educational gap. So, and there is economic participation is low, where labor force participation ratio is less than 25% after COVID. So this gender gap index it is increasing, right? Yes, according to the report, India is the best performer. No, India is not the best performer. There are so many times our surrounding countries. So, for example, Nepal, Bhutan, they have also better ranking as per India than our India with respect to health and survival sub-index. So only one option is right. See, such type of sentences are always wrong when there is best performer among its neighbors. We cannot be a best performer. Why? Because it's a very large country. Right? It's a very huge country. We have a huge section of tribal population. There is huge diversity. Right? There is huge diversity. For example, in northeastern area, there is less participation of there is there is a huge amount of tribals are present there, and there is the participation of there is no FDI, there is no modernization, there is no industrialization because of geographical adversaries, and in such a situation that also affects the that also creates lack of opportunity for women in those areas, right? So that is why it cannot be the best performer, and this is released by World Economic Forum. Remember, World Economic Forum, it releases Global Gender Gap Index, and India rank is 135 out of 146. It's very poor, right? It's a very poor ranking, we'll say. Right? It has slightly improved, but still it is very poor rank. It based on four parameters, that is economic participation, and opportunity, educational attainment, health and survival, and political empowerment. So only one statement is first statement is right. We have schemes like Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao. What are the schemes regarding women empowerment? It's Bachao, Beti Padhao for it to develop the to reduce the um, gender gap, especially the sex ratio, and also making promoting women education. Right? There is Mahila Shakti Kendraj, Mahila Shakti Kendraj for for economic empowerment or skill development of rural women. Right? Sukanya, there is also Sukanya Samriddhi Yojana, Sukanya Samriddhi Yojana, Sukanya Samriddhi Yojana. Right? Then there is also Kasturaba Gandhi Balika Vidyalaya, Kasturaba Gandhi Balika Vidyalaya, Balika Vidyalaya. These are the scheme of government of India. This is especially in the backward blocks, right? Educational backward blocks. There is Kasturba Gandhi Balika Vidyalaya, right? We have regarding political participation, we have ensured 33% of reservation in Panchayat Raj election. Some states like Odisha, it has ensured 50% of reservation, and also they have also ensuring 50% of women reservation in case of MP seats, right? Okay. Okay. Consider the following statements. I2U2 is known as the International Forum for Economic Cooperation with Iran, UAE, UK as its members. The aim of the organization is to discuss common areas of mutual interest and to strengthen economic partnership in trade and investment. Which of the following statements are correct? See this I2U2, this is called as West Quad. It is called West Quad. We have quadrilateral group, informal group between India, Australia, and US and Japan to ensure food security. To ensure food security in to ensure no, sorry to ensure maritime security in Indo-Pacific region. Similarly, West Quad or I2U2, it is the new grouping that is between India and Israel, UAE and US. India, Israel, UAE and US. They have started I2U2. Right. It was named. The name was given, that is International Forum for Economic Cooperation. International Forum for Economic Cooperation. First, so the second statement is correct. Then there is no UK, right? There is no Iran. There is India. There is Israel. There is UAE and US. So it is based on Abraham Accords. They may ask about also about Abraham Accords. Accords, which is brokered by US. It is brokered by United States. It is a accord that is objective is to strengthen the relations in between, to normalize relationship between Israel and Gulf countries. Because after Yom Kippur War in 1960s, the relationship between Israel and the Gulf countries, it has become bitter, right? It is because it is a there is because there is conflict regarding religious conflict between these various countries, and also there is this land conflict which is regarding West Bank or Gaza Strip. Then there is issue between in Israel and Palestine, all these Palestinian cause. So various issues that disturb the relationship between Israel and Gulf countries. Israel has been created. It is a very aggressive state, military very stagnant, military strong state, which is non. There is a state in West Asia which is not Islamic state. That's why there is a conflict between Islamic countries and the Israel. So, but because by Abraham Accords brokered by US, there is a new breakthrough in the dimension of foreign policy of United States with respect to the West Asia, and this has started to normalize the relationship between Israel and the Gulf countries. Especially, it has signed with UAE. So, only two option is the right option. Then CATSA. What is CATSA? Under CATSA, US government Under CATSA, US government can impose sanctions on nation purchasing weapons from Russia. Yes, it can purchase weapons so impose sanctions for purchasing weapons from Russia. Right? When India started to buy S-400, signed the deal to buy S-400, US also threatened to impose sanctions against India. Right? To stop buying S-400 from Russia. That is CATSA agreement. That is, CATSA compromise countering America adversaries through Sanctions Act. So, Sanctions Act, that is CATSA. So, Sanctions Act for India. Right. So, this is using CATSA, and US government has imposed sanctions only on Indonesia, North Korea, Iran, uh, and also Turkey, a member of NATO. It has sanctioned only on Indonesia, North Korea, Iran, Russia, and also Turkey, a member of NATO. So yes, both the statements are correct. These are the states on which it is it has imposed sanctions. It has also threatened India to impose sanctions when India started purchasing the S-400 from Russia. So today the discussion of written questions complete here. Now we will discuss some preliminary facts. That is, first is One Health. The recently COVID pandemic and once again renewed the interest among scientists, policymakers to building integrated approach as One Health. Integrated approach, right? It is approach to design and implement programs, policies, legislation, research, which multiple sectors communicate and work together to achieve better public health outcomes. Interdependence. The core of One Health approach is rooted in acknowledging and understanding the interdependence of human and natural systems to obtain optimal health for people, animal, and environment. Optimal health for people, animal, and environment. People, animal, and environment. These are the three important parameters of One Health approach. It is particularly relevant in food safety, control of zoonoses. Zoonoses means zoonotic diseases or zoonoses, animals and humans, combating antibiotic resistance. Antibiotic resistance means that is what drug resistance. It may be your antibacterial resistance, antiviral resistance. It is the top 10 global health challenge at present time. That is antibiotic resistance. Then developing database. That if antibiotic resistance happen, what will happen? If happen inside body, then other drugs will not work, right? For example, malaria, because of chloroquine, antibiotic resistance is seen in most of the countries where chloroquine is distributed by WHO. For One Health science, it is important to develop databases and models with a consolidated approach with ecologists, field biologists, epidemiologists, and other scientists. The Casanova forest disease model is such an example, right? So biologists need to be concerned, the ecologists need to be concerned. We have to conserve the environment. We have to conserve. We have to understand the various biological aspect regarding the various insects and what is the probability disease and how they can be rehabilitated. For example, if there is a particular insect and their natural habitat is destroyed, obviously they will migrate, and if they will migrate, they will come in contact with various chemicals, and anything may happen inside their body. And if they communicate with in the human being, then disease are getting transmitted. So you have to ensure that their natural habitat is not natural habitat is not even hampered. We have It's a very complex phenomenon. Ecology is a very complex phenomenon. We exactly don't know which animal is performs which role in the environment. If the ecological biodiversity get disturbed, that's why it has multi-dimensional impact over all over the world environment, right? Because the whole food chain get disturbed, and because every animals has different roles in the environment, and if you are killing one, for example, in the human being, it consists of 0.001% of total species of the world. But we have already destructed 90% of the species of the world. So many species extinction has happened, and whatever the biological role they are performing now, they are not performing. So that is one of the maybe that is one of the reason because of which now we are suffering from various zoonoses, right? Developing databases. For One Health science, it is important to develop databases and models with a consolidated approach for ecologists, field biologists, epidemiologists, and other scientists. Then CRISPR and gene editing. Gene editing system, it is very important regarding preventive healthcare or healthcare system or diagnosis. Which are innovations in medicine, evolution, agriculture has completed 10 years of innovation. That the gene editing refers to technology that permits the change to organism's DNA. Organism's DNA and it can be changed. For example, there are various genetic disorders. For example, one is albinism. We cannot. It is albinism. That means white patches in the body. It cannot be treated easily, right? Because there are genetic diseases, and genetic diseases it is very difficult to treat genetic diseases. That's why we have, for example, gene editing. That's a good method regarding genetic diseases. These technologies allow genetic material to be added, removed, or altered at a particular location of the genome. They can be added, removed, or altered at a particular location in the genome. Its application include correcting genetic defects. Yes, correcting genetic defects, treating and preventing the spread of diseases, and improving crops, etc. A decade ago, scientists in Germany and US discovered a technique which is allowed them to cut DNA strands and edit genes. For agricultural scientists, this process allows them to bring about desired changes in the genome by using site-directed nuclease or sequence-specific nuclease. Nuclease is an enzyme which cleaves through the nucleic acid building block of genetic material. This is how it is got discovered. So it cuts the gene strands or edit the genes. The advanced research that allowed scientists to develop the highly effective clustered regularly interspersed palindromic repeat CRISPR associated with protein-based systems. This system allows for targeted intervention about genome sequence. Targeted intervention about genome sequence. This tool has opened up various possibilities in plant breeding. Using this tool, agriculture scientists can now edit the genome to insert specific traits of a gene sequence. They can insert specific traits. So, problem there is some problem which exists in the gene that can be removed or that can be inserted. If something makes good in your body, that can be inserted. Depending on the nature of the edit and carried out process, divided into three categories, that is SD1, SDN1, SDN2, SDN3. SDN introduces changes in her genome through small insertions or deletion without introducing a foreign genetic material. Small insertion or deletion without introducing a foreign genetic material. In case of SDN2, what happens SDN2? It involves using small DNA template to generate specific changes. Both these processes do not involve alien genetic material, and end result is indistinguishable from conventionally bred crop varieties. SDN3 processes involves larger DNA elements or full-length genes of foreign origin, which makes it similar to genetic modified organism or GMO development. Larger DNA elements, full-length genes of foreign origin that will involve, that is SDN3. In case of SDN3, SDN2 using small DNA template to generate specific changes. This also do not involve alien genetic material. So only SDN3 it involves alien genetic material. प्रधानमंत्री फसल बीमा योजना. Recently, state of Andhra Pradesh has decided to run Pradhan Fasal Bima Yojana. It ensures all preventable natural risk and pre-sowing to post-harvest. From pre-sowing to post-harvest, all preventable natural risks. To provide insurance coverage and financial support to the farmer in the event of failure of any of the notified crops result in natural calamity, pest or disease. Because of any reason, if there is failure of crops, then they can be ensured the full amount. To stabilize of income of farmers to ensure their continuance in farming. To encourage farmers to adopt innovative and modern agricultural practices. To ensure the flow of credit to the agricultural sector. To ensure flow of credit to the agricultural sector. So this is one type of reducing the agrarian distress, that is because of crop loss, or to address the problem of farmer suicide in case of crop loss. So if a farmer has insured its crop 30 by 2% or 1.5%, if anything happens to the crop, then he will get the premium. Remember premium, it is 2% for the kharif crops, 1.5 for rabi crops and oilseed, and 5% for commercial horticultural crops or for the fruits. For example, fruits, it will for fruits it will be 1.5%. The balance premium. The balance premium is set by union and state governments on a 50-50 basis and 90-10 in the basis of the northeastern states. 50-50 basis, 50% will be given by the union and 50% by the state governments. Claims that worked on the basis of shortfall of actual yield and threshold yield is notified area. It shall be implemented through multi-agency framework by selected insurance companies under the overall guidance and control department of agricultural state government. There is no upper limit of the government subsidies. Right? There is no upper limit of government subsidies. If there is crop loss, then government will bear the full amount. The premium rates are to be paid by the farmers at very low, and the balance premium is paid by the government to provide the full insured amount to the farmers. Full insured amount to the farmers will be provided. What is mediation bill? Recently, Parliament Standing Committee on the Law and Justice has recommended substantial changes to the mediation bill. The mediation bill is meant for institutionalization of mediation. The establishment of Mediation Council of India. Mediation Council of India, right? What is Mediation Council of India? It is one type of alternate dispute resolution mechanism, right? Because there is court is overburdened with various civil cases. In case of civil cases, you have to go to the mediation, right? Rather than going to the court, because they are court for overburdened. They are very formal. So here it is not so much formal, right? Mediation, it is not so much formal. They provide easier justice, right? Early justice. Objective of the bill to promote and encourage facilitate mediation, especially institutional mediation for resolution of disputes, commercial and otherwise. Commercial disputes can be resolved by mediation. To enforce domestic and international mediation settlement agreement. For example, one of the major problem regarding FDI inclusion is that we don't have commercial courts or if there is any dispute arises because between the state or private parties against a particular company, then they become hold and it takes a long time to give them justice. So it is both, it is frustrating for the entrepreneur and also for the party inside India. Because of this delayed justice also, we receive less investment in our country, which is creating the problem of unemployment. To provide for a body of registration mediators, encourage community mediation. To make online mediation acceptable, cost-effective process for matters connected to therewith, the incidental thereto has been prepared. Main features of the bill. The draft will provide pre-litigation mediation. Pre-litigation mediation at the same time also safeguard interest of litigants to approach the competent adjudicatory forums courts against urgent relief is sought. If there is any urgent relief or any problem, then can also go to the court. The successful outcome mediation in the form of mediation settlement agreement (MSA) has been made enforceable by law. According to present provision of the bill, people dealing with problems related to alternative dispute resolution can become members and chairman of the council. Right? Those people who are relating to alternative, they can become chairman of the council and work for settlement of various disputes. Okay, so the lectures end today. You can write a question about the rare earth materials, their strategic and environmental significance, and respect to India, because now they are very used in various use like computer hard drives, cellular phones, electric hybrid vehicles, monitors, televisions. So please try to write this question, and the lecture ends here. Thank you. Yes, Abhijit. Hello. Thank you.